All right. We are going to go ahead and get started, and people are going to be joining. But hi, everyone. It's so good to have you here with us. I'm Tiffany Muller, president of In Citizens United. And thanks so much for joining us today for another one of our live Substack discussions. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe to democracy.news. Join our over 130,000 subscribers. We have newsletters coming out each week. We have conversations with amazing leaders like the one we're going to have today. And just the stories about kind of the latest threats and fight to protect our democracy, which it feels like there is always something new every single day. So please hit that subscribe button. And today I am so excited because we have Congressman Chris Pappas from the great state of New Hampshire with us today. He has been a great friend to End Citizens United over the years. He's a real champion for our democracy and for rooting out corruption. And he's currently running for Senate in New Hampshire. And we are thrilled to stand with him in that race. And we're thrilled to speak with him today. So, Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
It's so good to see you, Tiffany. Thanks for all that you're doing. We've got, I don't know, like 5 months left of this campaign. And boy,
Wow.
it's really important to be connecting the dots on some of the deep concerns that I'm hearing about out there around the state of our government and the corruption that's just out in the open. So I look forward to this conversation.
So, not everyone might know about your background. So, let's tell them a little bit about you. Obviously, before you ran for Congress, you used to help run your family's 108-year-old restaurant business in Manchester, which I've had the privilege to eat at a number of times. And it is where chicken tenders started, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe you helped make the ice cream while you were there as well. Is that true?
Well, you wear a lot of hats when you run a small grid business. And so, yeah, I did just about every job in the place. And, it's a great tradition to be a part of. I co owned and managed the restaurant for about 15 years until I got elected to the House in 2018. But it's very much grounded in the community. And, it's a busy place every day. All sorts of crazy things are happening, and lots of people are coming through the door. And it gives you the sense of urgency about how you approach tasks before you. So, it's still just important for me to be able to grapple with how our economy works and the
Mhm.
pressure on families right now. And, I miss sort of the day to day hustle and bustle, but in some ways, politics is like an extension of serving the public in a restaurant. You try to figure out where people are coming from, how to meet their needs. You do a lot of listening. You focus on how you can deliver for people. And we
Yeah.
need to get back to more of that in Washington. What's so frustrating about this moment is just how just incredibly unproductive the House of Representatives and the Senate have been over the last year plus. And they're not addressing the day to day concerns that people have out there. And so that's a little bit about what this election cycle has to reckon with, how we reestablish some functionality here in Washington to deliver.
Uh, Yeah, and I mean, one of the other things about that restaurant is it's also been such a gathering place for the community, right? And that you have brought people together to have kind of community-focused conversations. And I feel like that's another piece that we are really missing at this moment in our politics.
Yeah, and too many people live in a bubble, right? They don't
Yeah.
with people of opposing points of view, or just get out there and see where people are at. And I think too often people in politics assume everyone consumes politics all the time, but most people are just living their lives. And so right now, the kinds of conversations we're having, whether it's at the tables at my restaurant or around the state, are all about people's lived experiences, the economic pressures that they're facing, and just how unfair they feel like things are. Things have gotten so rigged and so
Yeah.
skewed against everyday Americans, and they see that through the way that they're working harder than ever and finding it hard to provide for their families. High energy costs, high gas prices, housing costs that are through the roof, healthcare cuts that are impacting people directly. But they also see it in terms of the self-serving nature of folks in Washington D.C. that are ignoring their problems and are focused on padding the bottom lines of themselves and their political cronies. And so this election has got to be about how we change that.
Which I think is such a great segue. I mean, today you are rolling out your anti-corruption agenda, to get dark money out of politics and to help give power back to the people. Tell us about that agenda. Tell us what's in it, and tell us why it's so important that candidates are talking about these issues. Why are you talking about these issues? Why is there such a focus on reforming Washington?
Well, first, there's got to be accountability for folks that are breaking existing laws and are skipping ethics rules. We got to hold them accountable, whether they're in Congress or whether they're in the administration. There has to be a reckoning in this election, and there's got to be the kind of oversight that hasn't happened in Congress over the last year plus. In addition to that, we've got to restore people's trust in government. It's at an all-time low right now. It's at
Yeah.
something like 17% of people that believe government is working in their best interest. And so, how is our democracy going to be able to deliver and stand the test of time for the next 250 years if people don't see that their elected leaders are truly working for them? So, we got to clean things up. And I think that starts by making sure that we have people in the House of Representatives and the Senate that are working under the toughest ethical regulations, that we're passing new laws to ban things like stock trading. Uh, right now, we have members of Congress that on an annual basis are trading millions of dollars worth of stocks, and
Right.
they've access to very sensitive information that could potentially help them make trades and pad their bottom lines. These prediction markets are rife for the kind of corruption that's been reported on over the last few weeks. You have these well-timed trades that are being made, and in advance of, say, a military action, people are taking advantage of knowledge that they have, and some accounts are reaping huge benefits. We have to have some oversight, and that's why I've called for investigations into these prediction markets, making sure that we're issuing subpoenas and that Congress is doing its job there. We've got to make sure that there are bright lines between working in the public trust and all the people on the outside that are seeking to influence Congress. We've got to crack down on shadow lobbying. And make sure that we're banning members of Congress from lobbying for foreign governments when they leave office. And clearly, we've got to address the outsized influence that corporate special interests have, whether that's in the halls of power or whether that's in our campaign system. We have to overturn the Citizens United decision. We have to work to provide disclosure. People need to know who's trying to influence their votes and trying to influence policies in Congress. We have to have the power of our democracy fully in the hands of the American people. And so our anti-corruption agenda, which you can go to chrispappas.org and check it out, has all those facets that address corruption in Congress, in the executive branch, and the ways that we can clean up our political system to make sure that voters are in the driver's seat.
I mean, you were saying a little while ago that the folks who come into your restaurant and sit at the tables, a lot of them are facing the same kind of economic pressures that we are seeing across the country, right? And that is often where their conversation is at. How do these anti-corruption efforts help alleviate those economic pressures for your constituents?
Well, it forces elected leaders and public officials to be paying attention to the things that count and the
Yeah,
things that are under their purview. It also ensures that we're reducing the influence that big special interest groups, including corporate interest groups, have to be able to shape legislation, to be able to get huge tax breaks at the expense of the American people, and that the focus is going to be on everyday Americans, which is right where it should be. I mean, here we are at the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country, of our independence. We have government of, by, and for the people. But right now, as I mentioned before, the corruption is out in the open, and
yeah.
we have a system that is just not working for everyday people. The gap of opportunity has ballooned. Income inequality is at record levels right now. While corporate profits soar, the billionaire class does just fine. So
Yeah.
this has to be about how everyone's cut in on the American bargain, especially working families, in ways that we can grow the middle class, create greater opportunity, and bring it about a level of fairness. The corruption is directly linked to the lack of focus and progress on issues that impact working people and middle class families in our country. And so we gotta clean it up in order to reorient our elected leaders and the system to deliver results in a meaningful way that can make people's lives better.
Yeah, I think they absolutely wanna know that someone is fighting for them and not just, going to go talk to the person who wrote them the biggest check, right? And we have talked a lot about especially in New Hampshire, the rising cost of prescription drug prices and the outsized role that big pharma has played in both campaign spending, but in policymaking, and how that just continues to keep people's prices really high, but big pharma is getting, billions and billions in tax breaks and having record profits, but people are struggling to afford their medication that they need, right, to be healthy. And so I think if we start to break that connection past the reforms that you're talking about, and we break that connection, we can finally start delivering some of those things for people, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, I mean, look at big oil and
Yeah.
windfalls that they've been lavished with over decades from Congress. And right now, we're dealing with a near record high energy costs. We've got a war that's driving up prices. People are feeling pain at the pump, pain as they pay their electric bills every month. And last year, the oil and gas industry got what they wanted with the repeal of renewable energy tax
Yep.
credits, support to create more homegrown domestic energy that's going to help us become more independent from the chaos in the Middle East. And is going to ultimately bring down prices, and so it's just crazy what you see the industry doing, which is hurting the American consumer. That's the case with big pharma, with insurers, and we got to make sure that ultimately this is an agenda that's on the table that's going to help people live their lives. I have to believe that's why most people want to run for office, want to ultimately serve their community and get things done. But the power that these special interests have is so corrosive, and the relationships that get formed in Washington begin to override, the desire to get things done for everyday Americans. And
Yeah.
addressing corruption and cleaning up our campaign finance system is such an important way to be able to restore the way that our system should work.
Well, not only did you roll out your anti corruption agenda today, but then last week you helped launch a new End Corruption Caucus alongside Congressman Jason Crow, Mike Levin, Wesley Bell, Chris DeLugio, Congresswoman AOC, right? And so you all have been leaders on taking on corruption. And this caucus, tell us what this caucus is going to do. Tell us what a caucus is and what a caucus does.
Well, there are a lot of caucuses, and it's just of members of the House that find common cause on a given issue, and this one is coming under the banner of trying to address corruption in all the ways that it rears its ugly head within our system. And so, we're focused on how we address, some of the problems that I indicated before, things like how we get to a bipartisan solution around stock trading. This is something that leadership on both sides of the aisle doesn't like. You had Speaker Johnson even saying a few weeks ago that, well, members should be able to supplement their income by trading.
Right.
It's insane.
Right.
No, when you serve the public, you serve the public. You don't serve yourself. And so, we're really committed to trying to find a path forward on a stock ban this session of Congress. Most of us pride ourselves on not taking corporate PAC money in our own campaigns, and so we're not just talking the talk; we're walking the walk. And I think there is a real push for change out there on the ground all across the country.
Yeah.
And we have to shake things up. It's not good enough to just say, "Well, I'm against the people in power." Let's sort of trade team jerseys here in terms of who's running the place. We've got to clean up Washington, ensure that it's working in the best interest of everyday Americans, and so we're going to continue to try to grow this caucus and hopefully make some progress on some of the issues I've mentioned.
Well, we can't wait to work with you and helping advance those reforms and that legislation. And one of the pieces of legislation I know the caucus is going to support, but that you recently introduced was the Disclose Act. And we've talked a little bit about the dark money and the need for transparency. But talk to us about that specific piece, the Disclose Act, what it would do, why it's so important.
Well, in this, post Citizens United world where we've seen an explosion of dark special interest money spent in elections, I think up to $2 billion of
Right.
dark money in the 2024 election. So it's like tenfold increase since the decision was handed down. The feeling is we've got to unmask these wealthy donors, the billionaires and the big companies that are flooding the airwaves and are flooding the zone every time an election is rolling around. The American people should know who's trying to influence their votes. And so the Disclose Act would require a disclosure above a certain amount of contributions to organizations that are seeking to influence votes, are airing ads, are doing voter contact, or doing all the work around elections, because we've got to make sure that we are paying close attention to who's behind those messages, so that we can have a critical eye as consumers of this information. Ultimately, this is about making sure voters are empowered. And this is one step that we need to take, in addition to working to chip away at that decision, which is just one of the worst the court has handed down in my lifetime, and by continuing to make the case on overturning it fully. And we're committed to doing that. We've got to get it done in
Yeah.
order to have a political system where we're able to ultimately have conversations out there in the community, and that it's not drowned out by billions of dollars of special interest spending where we don't even know where the money's coming from.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think people see the ads on their TV and they see that they come from these groups that have these innocuous sounding names, like Americans for a Better America or whatever, but they don't actually know who's behind it and they don't know who's trying to influence that election and therefore can't figure out why they're trying to as well. And so this would stop that and would actually force real disclosure and transparency so we could see who is trying to buy up these elections and why. What's their interest in it? Which is one of the most powerful anti-corruption tools we actually have at our disposal. You said earlier you were talking about the Anti-Corruption Caucus, and you said that you and so many of your colleagues in that caucus had chosen to walk the walk and not take corporate PAC money. That is something that you decided all the way back in your first race, and when we started working together back in 2017, and you have carried that forward, and you're continuing that into your current campaign for U.S. Senate. Um, that's not always an easy position to hold in Washington, D.C., and it doesn't always make you the most popular. Why was that important, and what kinds of pressures have you gotten around it?
Yeah, look, it's something that was important to people in New Hampshire. When I first ran for Congress, we had a lot of conversations about the pledge, and the voters saw a value in it because it was a good indicator, not just of where you would stand with respect to corporate special interests, but the other ways that you would try to stand out for reform and try to fix Washington. So, yeah, I mean, I've gone through 4 really tough campaigns for
Right?
Congress. You've seen some of our fights up there in New Hampshire. We're a very purple state. Everything's always close. I would have a lot of folks in the party saying you're tying one hand behind your back. You're at a disadvantage competitively with your Republican opponents. And we've always managed to outraise our opposition based on individual contributions, a lot of online contributions from people, including those who, really like the idea of a member of Congress that's showing some independence and that doesn't have these sorts of connections. So, yeah, I mean, often you'll get that sort of talking to from folks who are, in the professional campaign world and, are in elected office, who think that it's crazy to do something like this. But I don't think it's put us at a disadvantage. In fact, it's allowed us to distinguish ourselves in terms of who I am, what I stand for, what I'm fighting for. And so I think it's really important. And by the way, if you're a company that does business in New Hampshire, or you have a message to communicate, you're always free to be able to put that message out there. This is saying that I work for the people of New Hampshire. I'm not working for any one industry, and it works
Right.
to break that linkage that's far too strong in the halls of power.
I love that. I love that. Well, let's talk about the campaign. How's the campaign going? Give us an update. And what big issues are you hearing from voters out across the state?
I'm really excited about the campaign. It is going well. It's one day at a time. I think we've got, I don't know, a little less than 5 months now until the
Wow.
ultimate vote, November 3rd. But we're building a big effort in New Hampshire. This is an open seat Senate race in a very purple state. Republicans control everything at the state level. Democrats have had some success in federal office, but it's always by very, very close margins. And so we expect this will be a tough fight. And we're already seeing a lot of firepower arrayed on the other side from dark money groups and special interests that want to support my likely Republican opponent, John Sununu. But when you talk to voters in New Hampshire, they're incredibly fair. They really consider all their options. That we have a lot of swing voters that will split their tickets, and so they're thinking about things like the high cost of gas, the high cost of healthcare, the way that housing, whether it's your mortgage or your rent, is just increasingly unaffordable right now. And the way that the majorities and the administration are totally ignoring the will of the people and are just saying that this stuff doesn't matter. And they're actively making it worse. The tariffs, the war, all these things are adding to a really tough financial picture for families. So this is about change. It's about having some basic checks and balances restored to Washington. It's about being able to put forward an agenda that is going to deliver. It's going to lower costs. It's going to create a fairer economy. And expand opportunity. So I'm excited about the conversations that we're having. I think this is just a moment where people want to be in the conversation. They see this president as just being so estranged from the law, the Constitution, the norms, the ethical rules, and they're looking for change. And we got to show that there's a way we can, channel people's anger, their anxieties, their hopes into the right direction in 2026. And this is going to be one race where we can do that.
I love it. So, we're obviously all in. We are proud to stand with you and support you. For everyone watching, how can they help? What can they do to support your race?
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and for being, such a great partner. All the folks at and Citizens United, all the supporters of the organization. You're helping us clean up Washington and build a system for the future that's going to be able to better deliver for the American people. In our race, we urge people to go to chrispappas.org, learn more about what we're fighting for, pitch in where you can. We need all the help we can get. We might be outspent by dark money and the special interests in this race, but we're not going to be outworked. And this is a year where being focused on the right states and the right districts is really going to put us in a position to take back the majorities and begin to lead again on behalf of the American people. So I'm excited about the chances we have this year. There's so much that's dark right now, but we got to maintain some hope. And we've seen a good track record over the last year about people stepping up, engaging in the political process, winning in places maybe where you wouldn't expect certain candidates to win. We got to compete everywhere, but stay focused on those states that are going to get us back into the majority. And New Hampshire's one. So we would
Yeah.
welcome any support we can get.
You heard it. Go to chrispappas.org. Kick in whatever you can. $5, $10, $15. Like you heard, he's not taking a dime from corporate PACs. He's completely individual funded and needs your grassroots support to stand up against the big money that's going to come in and try to buy this race, right? And Chris, I can't wait to get up there and do some campaigning together like we've done in the past. It's going to be so much fun. Uh,
Fun
so
state to paint it.
it
It's
is.
up and personal. So yeah, we'd love to have you, Tiffany, anytime.
So we have some fun questions, a little lightning round for you.
Sure.
Um, not that you have a ton of extra time because you're running a Senate campaign and you're a member of Congress. But what are you binge watching or reading?
Oh, good question. So my birthday was just yesterday, so I have a
Okay,
new book.
happy birthday!
Yeah, my husband bought me the 1929 book, uh,
It's so
uh,
good.
Ross Sorkin. So
It's so
I learn
good.
a little more about the economic history of that period and some of the echoes that we're seeing today. So I'm interested to delve into that. Binge watching. Just finished Hacks. It was a
Oh,
great finale to the series. I really enjoyed that show.
I have not watched Hacks yet. I feel like it is constantly on my I should watch it list. And once you're done with 1929, text me so that we can compare notes. It is one of my favorites that I read. I guess I read it. It came out last year, right? But I read it like right when it came out, and I was both amazed by the response in government and some of the similarities to what we have now and how long kind of everything took, the years that went by even after the crash. So I think you'll love it. There's some great characters in it. Some that you're like, ooh, I see some similarities with some of our people now. So it's a great book. You'll love it.
Good, good.
All right. What's your favorite campaign trail snack?
Twizzlers.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good one. Red or black?
red.
Oh,
Definitely red.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I am not a black licorice person.
Yeah,
All.
it's an acquired taste. But, yeah, the red ones are good. We try to have them in the pocket of the door, whenever we're traveling around the state.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. All right, and you talked about this a minute ago, but we always end on this, which is like there's a lot of dark stuff happening in our country, and we are in a really critical moment. But it is really important that we keep up hope. So, what is giving you hope right now that you want to share with everyone?
Well, I think back to, the last No King's Day and just being out there meeting folks that were protesting, expressing their views, and there were so many folks who had never been involved in the political process before. People that had never held a sign out on a street corner or engaged in any sort of form of protest before that felt compelled to do so. We're seeing that in so many different ways. People that are taking their roles as citizens incredibly seriously and are trying to take it to whatever next level they possibly can. And that's the question we get all the time. What can I be doing? What more can I be doing as an American right now to confront what's going on in our country? So that gives me hope. I mean, because that means we're growing the coalition. We're bringing new people in. I think about the younger generation too that is going to be shouldered with all the decisions that are being made right now, much more so than any other generation. There are so many young people that want to have their voice heard and are coming into the political process because they know whether it's the economy or whether it's environmental issues or issues of personal freedom, like that all impacts their generation so much. So I've just taken great hope with just the level of engagement from new folks that I'm seeing in the political process. It's one thing if you just see the same old group showing up at the headquarters. But when you're getting new people there, when you're seeing people and having conversations with folks that usually just, are not engaged at this point, that means that we're growing something that's going to be really formidable by November. We've got an administration that feels like they don't have to listen to the American people. I mean, they're ignoring us, and he's saying very specifically that he's not listening to us right now. um, the American people are going to still decide what comes next in our country. That's the beauty of our system, and it's coming up quick. So
Yeah.
we just all need to continue to organize.
Well, it's truly about building a movement that is going to help bring about the change that we need. And thank you so much for being such a leader in that movement and for all of your public service throughout the years and for continuing to lead on the efforts about making our government work for the people again. So we're just so lucky to have you as a partner in this work and so grateful that you were able to join us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's great seeing you.
Always great to see you. For everyone who joined us, please hit subscribe if you haven't already. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one of these. Take care.
Bye, everyone.